Good morning, friends. Welcome to our video post today. Caroline is on retreat this week, so I will be with you Monday through Friday this week. And please join me in wishing Caroline well as she journeys onward in this particular form of intensive retreat practice. This week, I'd like to explore the wonderful way in which nature can teach us about the way things are. Of course, anything can teach us about the way things are because everything has the same nature in terms of Dharma. And yet I find there's a particular way that nature expounds the Dharma that can be particularly revealing. Here in Massachusetts, the last quite a bit, 3 or 4 weeks, it's been really warm, like way above average. And then, and then it snowed out. There's probably, I don't know, 8 or 10 inches of snow on the ground out there. And the day before, it was like 45 or 50 degrees. And so we can have these huge changes in the weather. And like no one really has a problem with that. I mean, if you hate snow, you had a problem that it snowed, or if you love snow, you'll have a problem that at some point this will melt, right? But just that the weather is changeable, kind of like everyone's on board with that, right? Everyone knows, yeah, just wait a minute, the weather will change. So that seems to be clear to us. And yet, when it comes to our Dharma practice and things change, we can often get, worried about that or have a reaction to that. Maybe one day in the formal practice, there could be some calm, maybe some equanimity with the way things are. And then the next day, very different. The mind might be very agitated. There might be maybe more reactivity. And it's often that we'll think, well, what happened? What did I do wrong? And we forget, we don't remember that, this unfolding of the Eightfold Path, it's going to be just as changeable as the weather is. Certain conditions will be present one day and support the practice being like this. And the next day, the conditions could be quite different and support the practice being like that. So the question is, can we start to get on board with our practice in the same way, kind of bringing the same view to it as we would with the weather? Of course, the weather is going to change. Of course, the practice is going to change. Not just the formal practice, but our daily life practice. Our speech and our behavior. One day we might be like this with people, and another day we might be like that with people. Maybe one way we like better or would wish would happen more than another way, but we aren't completely in control. And this, of course, is the important piece of wisdom that we want to bring to bear on our practice and on everything, really, which is everything's changing and we're not in control over it. Can we get on board with that? Can we kind of like to say, can we just wave the white flag and go, okay, I surrender to this. This is how it's going to be. Can I kind of just settle in for the ride? Maybe dovetailing with last week's theme that I offered, the patience and perseverance, right? We need patience and persevere through the ups and downs, through the changing weather patterns of our practice. Once we get more on board with that, that's how it's going to be, then it's much more easeful, and we can just kind of shift our energy from kind of worrying about how the practice is going to actually just continuing to engage with it as fully as possible. That's energy much better spent than worrying about how it's going. So let's go ahead and do some of the formal practice now. And we enter this now, letting the eyes gently come to close. There are conditions present now. How much you slept last night, maybe what you dreamed of, what kind of, if any, media or entertainment you took in yesterday or last night, etc., etc. These conditions are present right now as you settle into your body, feeling the body sitting here. And these conditions will be more or less supportive of mindfulness, of calm, of clear seeing, of equanimity. And they are impacting the quality of your practice right in this moment. This is a form of dukkha, actually. This being vulnerable, being subject to changing conditions. Viparinami dukkha, the second kind of manifestation of dukkha, the dukkha due to change. We're vulnerable. Can we have perseverance and patience and just continue to show up through these changing sankharas, these changing conditions? And we create our own conditions, right, that are hopefully supportive, like feeling the body resting on the earth, bringing our attention to those contact points, very helpful for establishing or starting to establish some stability in the mind. In fact, much of our practice is cultivating conditions that are supportive to happiness, clear seeing, mindfulness, samadhi, generosity, etc. So we bring our attention to these touch points where the body is touching the earth below, and they may or may not help to establish this steadiness. They're conducive to it, but there are many other conditions at play here. Maybe you drank coffee this morning or some caffeine. Although that's going to be a condition that's less supportive for stability and calm. We consciously perceive the small body resting on the large body of the earth. Maybe that perception, both mentally and somatically, perhaps that helps to support calm, stability in the body, the mind. We can gently turn our attention to the process of the body breathing, connecting with the rhythmic pattern of those sensations in the body. That's a condition, the condition of the attention connected to those sensations in the body, the rhythm of them, that's supportive of calm, of strengthening mindfulness. Will it actually do that? Depends on what other conditions are affecting the body and mind at this particular moment. But because it's a condition that's supportive of it, we continue to cultivate the intention to strengthen that condition, that connection with the sensations of the breath in the body. Other conditions arise, sounds, moods and thoughts and mind states. Some we may welcome, some we may not welcome, and they have the same essence as the weather. They come and they go, and they do so mostly beyond our control. Just like the weather happens beyond our control. Enjoying the warm, unusually warm days of early winter, and along comes cold and a snowstorm. One may not like that or wish that, but here it is. And how can we be with that? Sitting there calmly noticing the breath, relaxed, present. All of a sudden, the attention is whisked away into remembering an argument you had with someone weeks ago. Is that something one would wish? Perhaps not, yet here it is. How can we be with that? What I'm suggesting today is this view that knows that this is just par for the course. This is just the way of things, is the first step in being with anything. It arises in a skillful way. Such a different approach to the practice between trying to force it to be a certain way, between that and simply being open, present, and allowing to whatever arises. There's nothing that we can't be mindful of. And from that perspective, if there's mindfulness, there's no doing the practice wrong. Can we take that weight off that we have to make it be a certain way, that pressure? Let that go. Supported by the presence, the somatic presence of body and breath, resting in that, we can open to whatever else arises without thinking or needing that it be different. Conditions change like the weather in our formal practice. Conditions change like the weather in our daily life practice. You're going through your day, things are quite easeful, equanimity, you're meeting things as they arise that you need to do with ease, not a lot of resistance, etc. And then the afternoon, you find yourself worrying about the future, rushing through things, being anxious about how things are going to turn out. What happened? Nature happened. Conditions changed. And what I'm suggesting is, as a foundation, the best way to meet these times where, especially when things change into um, the way that we don't like, or if there's unwholesome kind of conditions arising in the mind, certainly there are more or less skillful ways to practice with that for sure. And not what I'm pointing to right now, but just as a foundation, can we hold those times with the wisdom that knows, nothing happened, there's nothing wrong. It's just like this now. And if we can do that, we take away this whole layer of resistance. And from that place of non-resistance, now we are much better positioned to actually bring some skillful practices to bear on any of these whole unwholesome things that may be arising in the heart and in the mind. If we're resisting it, we're kind of thrashing about. And if we try to kind of work with it from that place, um, we're just going to be bringing aversion to it, and things aren't going to go as well. So if we can bring this view to it that there's nothing wrong, may not be pleasant, certainly there may be unwholesome mind states happening. We're agitated or we're angry. But if we can just see it, that, this is just nature following its nature. Things have just changed. These are the conditions now. What's the best way to meet these? So plenty of opportunity to practice, right, during the day. And so we'll continue now uh, for the rest of this week with what are the ways that we can learn from nature? How does nature behave such that it teaches us the truth of the way things are? Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. I wish you well till then. Bye bye.